on just a minute, brother.
All right. Are you on the Facebook page? Yeah. Because you see there we go. Okay, I guess just shoot me a text for a bit about 5 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Okay. All right.
Didn't foresee that it shouldn't have come as a mystery. It's just a repeat in history. I'll be there. I'll be there. Anytime I wanna visit again, I listen to my favorite bands. They're never really gone. They live on through their songs. Do you know those were the best years of our lives? And do you know we're in the best years of our lives? And they're never gone. Music can take you away. Let it be your escape. Music can give you the strength to go on. Give you the strength to move on. Give you the strength to go Can John play? He wrote songs that define the day. Anytime I feel the need to be free, I put on some Fogarty. When Eddie ruled the world, the boys dressed up like girls. Flamboyancy and wizardry was Van Halen's supremacy.
Hey, 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 it's Drake. And Robbie Lochner. Wow. Your 1035 Jack FM Facebook page. You're live inside the Hangout. What's going on, my brother?
How you doing? The Hangout. We're ready.
We're ready, brother. I am so super stoked about tonight's show, man. We've been able to tweak this a little bit, make it a little bit better. We got to listen to some cool music coming into here. Wonder who that was.
Yeah, I wonder.
All right, so we got
It'll debut Wednesday, right? Debut Wednesday on YouTube on my channel.
Right. Go to Robbie Lochner on YouTube. Subscribe to the page, man. Wednesday, 4 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, and you'll see the entire video, this entire song. It is badass. I said it.
All right. So what do we got coming up before we talk about Luis? What do we got coming up in the coming weeks here?
All right. So obviously we have a fantastic show tonight, but we're going to talk about next week here. We've got Carmine Apiece next week, next Monday night at 8 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Pacific. So Carmine Apiece, obviously, brother, icon, rock icon, played with Ozzy, played with Rod Stewart.
Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, Cactus, Vanilla Fudge, list goes on. Blue Murder. I mean,
insane talent. The week after that, we got the boys from Candlebox, brother. We got Kevin Martin and come on now.
The week after that, June 1st.
June 1st, we've got Morgan Miles.
That's right.
Now, Morgan is tearing it up in Nashville, man. She is a phenomenal singer and great talent, and I'm going to be happy to have her on here. It's going to be a great time.
She's done a lot of stuff that maybe people have seen her, right? NASCAR stuff with NASCAR or AFC Championship games.
She toured with Reba McEntire. This girl's ultra talented and a good friend of mine. Check her out on YouTube. Check her out, Morgan Miles, Myles. So we got Carmine Apiece, we got Candlebox, Kevin Martin, and Adam Curry. And then we've got Morgan Miles following up.
And tonight,
you've got the big man himself, brother.
Tonight, Luis Maldonado from Train. But Luis has got quite a history. We'll talk a little bit with Luis about some of that history with UFO, with John Waite, with
Lisa Marie Presley.
Glenn Hughes. I don't know. We'll find out some stuff when we talk to him.
Absolutely. Should we bring him in?
Let's bring him in.
All right, here we go. Let's get Luis on the line.
Uh-oh, he's sideways.
Oh, no, he's sideways again.
Why are you sideways?
Hold on, wait, hold on. Let me do this again. Shit, I just lost you guys. Wait. I promise I didn't do anything to...
What?
Yay, there.
Yay. All right,
there we are. There we all are. Okay.
Luis Maldonado, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So we're on. This is it. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
All right, cool. Hey, Robbie.
So, yeah, you know what? Maybe to start it off, why don't we talk a little bit about our history? We met 2013 at an MS benefit.
That's right.
Luis was playing with Glenn Hughes. And I played. He played. They did a three-piece with him, Glenn, and who was
Kenny Arnoff.
Kenny Arnoff, because Kenny Arnoff played with us that night too. Kenny Arnoff's played with everybody.
That's right.
Yeah. But we met backstage. I mean, he was kicking back, playing, and I saw him sitting over there. And I'm kind of the kind of guy, see somebody sitting by themselves, I kind of tend to walk over and, hey, man, how's it going? But we just hit it off. And then as it turns out, we actually have history that goes back quite a bit further.
Yeah.
Really?
Quite a bit further. So it's a Tucson connection. So he lived in Tucson. I grew up in Tucson. He lived there for a number of years, right?
Right. Yeah. I didn't not till to California till what, 88? Or maybe, until about 88. But before that, I was there, and it was an awesome conversation because we started talking, and we're like, had all these very similar things, and then I'm like, "What's your name? Where are you from?" And you said, "Oh no, remember, Robbie? It was like this crazy scene happening back there. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Really, it was this crazy, weird LA shit going on with
Yep.
I mean, you had to see it. It was Boogie Nights meets Almost Famous shit happening backstage.
Right.
And we're like, and I'm like, man, this is so not my scene. And then Robbie goes, "You're kidding me? I am totally not from here. This is not my scene either." And I'm like, "Where are you from?" He goes, "I'm from Tucson." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I go, I used to live in Tucson. Yeah. I go, "What name?" He goes, "Rob." And I'm like, Rob, what's your last name, Rob? He goes, "Rob Lochner." I went, "Robbie Lochner, like from Rock Lochner?" And I started naming some songs of like, they had this record.
You said The Gift, and I went, "No, not that song."
No, it was incredible. So it was like this crazy serendipitous moment that we just like, whoa, wait, we're both the same place, and we know, and it's the same era, and I knew all this stuff with Robbie, like growing up, like and you know, everybody talked about Robbie, and like you go, like you would hear like the records that they had, and just Robbie was the hero, the guitar hero. And so even now, like I remember when I went back to Tucson for some festival like a couple of years ago, and I saw some of my old friends in Tucson, like, "Hey, you guys Robbie Lochner?" And everyone, "Oh my God, Robbie Lochner." It was definitely like hometown hero and did great things, and you know, so it was, I don't know. I was more struck by Robbie than I was by Billy Idol that night.
Nah.
True. I'm not kidding. That was true. So
it was actually a really good conversation that we had, that we just, all of a sudden, all these people we knew. So the common denominator was a guy named Richard Burnett. I was teaching at a place called LA Music in Tucson, of all places, LA Music. And this kid came in to take lessons from me, and he played in a band with Luis. I didn't meet Luis at the time because Luis was a little kid. I mean, he was like 13 or something, but I remember Richard talking about him, and I was like, oh yeah. So all these years later, when he mentioned Noise Toys, I went, Richard, and
I can't believe you mentioned that.
Noise Toys.
Oh my God, no. Oh,
so it's awesome. Come on, that's a great history. It's great.
If Luis was 13, Robbie, how old were you, brother?
15.
Oh, okay.
Can I be 15? Actually, I think Richard was 15. So maybe I was 17. I don't know.
That's right. And
I've got a few years on him, but we're from the same era, so.
And it's funny because, in fact, Robbie mentioned Richard. Like we just stayed connected ever since that night, like very closely too. We just kept talking, kept hanging out, kept staying connected. And then I reconnected with Richard Burnett because of that. Like I think maybe even several months later. And then I was at breakfast with Richard. I sent Robbie like, "Hey, look, it's me and Richard," and it's pretty cool. Like it all kind of comes back around, you know.
Yeah.
It's super cool for me. I love that, you know.
Yeah, it was great. There was a lot of people we knew in common, and then Richard being the closest, because after he moved away, and then Richard had a band called Bad Love, then he moved out to California. But me and Richard got pretty tight. We hung out quite a bit. By the time he was 18, we would go and we'd hang out. And I actually played in his band for him when he broke his hand. You might not know this, but he tore tendons in his arm, and they were opening for Shark Island and LA Guns. And he asked me, "Could you please play the show for me?" And of course I did.
Well, of course.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I saw that tour, Shark Island and LA Guns. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, those guys opened up for him at the El Casino Ballroom in Tucson. Well, I mean, I guess I opened up. I would play with his band, but Richard's a great guy. I mean, it was really cool.
Still a great guy. Yeah, he's awesome. He clowned me not too long ago, and he sent me pictures of like when we were in a band together, and like, oh man. It's amazing. It really is amazing. It's like, wow, I was just a kid wearing a leather vest. It was ridiculous.
Wow. You got to send me those pictures.
I don't know about that. I may just do that.
I won't put them up on Facebook or anything.
Yeah, no thanks.
That didn't look like a trustworthy face right there, brother.
Yeah. So we've remained really good friends ever since. Like, and it's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and a lot of things have transpired. So some really interesting stuff is now I've seen you play with Train 4 times. And one of the events was, I mean, of all places, was the Forum. I'm like, man, here's this little kid from Tucson playing the Forum.
Oh,
it was amazing. It was an amazing moment for me. I mean, to see and to be there, and to, he invited Jessica and I out, and we went and watched the show, and then went backstage, and we're able to walk around and see all the pictures. I took some pictures back there, besides with you, but some in front of, you know, Zeppelin and stuff. But it was just like, wow, you know, kind of surreal. I mean, what a dream to play the Forum, right?
Wild, yeah, it was super wild. You know, there's few places that I played that I was like, oh, cool, this is amazing. And Forum was one of them. The Hollywood Bowl, another one. You know, I did this place in Liverpool with Glenn, and that was pretty exciting. You know, there's just a few. There's just a handful of like real special places that you're going. Oh yeah, I remember seeing a videotaped concert Queen at the you know, what's the Hammersmith Odeon? What do they call it now? The Apollo. And I played there, and it was pretty amazing. I'm like, wow. What else? Madison Square Garden. That was interesting. You know, that was really cool. Done stuff like that. But you know, because you know they're very famous for live records that you've either listened to or videos or filmed, like great events. I don't know. The special places like that are pretty amazing. I still haven't played Red Rock. I'd like to play Red Rock.
Oh yeah, Red Rock, cool. I've heard is really cool.
See, now you're talking about my hometown. I'm from Denver, so
is that
Red
right?
Rocks, yeah, Red Rocks was the place to go to see a concert. That's for sure, man. It's magic.
Yeah.
Pure magic.
That's one of the few places I've not played, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the near future. I don't know.
I'm sure it's, you know, it's all on the cards. So I mean, you played the first time I saw you play with Train was at the bowl over here in Orange County at the Orange County Fair. It's like 8,000 seat place, totally sold out. Really cool. It was. Oh
yeah. That was cool.
That was really
fun,
good.
yeah.
And then the other one where they replaced Irvine Meadows, that place that's out. It's supposedly like the replacement for Irvine Meadows. Like it's in Irvine, but out in the middle of nowhere, kind of a temporary place. Really cool. That was really good. You guys were playing with Goo Goo Dolls.
That was fun. Yeah, it was like rainy that night, and people stayed. Like everybody stayed.
Yep. And the one another cool one is like, I want to say it was New Hampshire. You might correct me on this. I'm not sure, but we landed in, I want to say it was New Hampshire. They picked us up. We're riding back, and the guy goes, yeah, well, you know, Train's playing down the street. I go, no kidding. And then all of a sudden I get a text at the same time, and from Luis, he goes, hey, I see you're playing, you know, right down the street from us. You want to come to the show? And I'm like, yeah. So we actually, Dickie and Tony and myself went out and watched them play their set, went back and played our set.
Nice.
You know, it was interesting to go and see, you know, this, it was really cool out in the forest. I mean, you walk up on it and you couldn't hear anything until you were up on it. And it's just, you know, killer show. And then we go back to our gig and we're like, wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of that place, but it's in Guilford, right? And the cool thing about this place is it's almost like the backstage is like a resort. And you know, they feed you lobster and all this great stuff. They have a pool and a little mini golf. They have bikes everywhere. It's like a vacation if you get it on tour. And I've done it a handful of times, and it's like amazing. It's like one of the few places that everybody, like from crew, lighting, bands, you just mix, and you have a barbecue after the show at night. And it's one of my favorite places.
It was cool. I've never seen something quite like that. As we were hanging out backstage, and there were girls walking around serving food. I mean, it was catered. I'm like, wait a minute. Right. I mean, I know stuff's catered, but I mean, actually walking up, would you like a whatever it was? And I'm like, oh, yes, I would.
Why, yes, I would.
Yeah, I'll take one of those.
Yeah, that was totally wild. I love that place. And you're right. It was out in the middle of like forest, nature, and it was cool. Yeah, that's a great place to play.
Oh yeah, I just want to say to Chris Anderson, yes, hopefully soon. There's a question is on there. That he'll know what I'm talking about.
All right. So Luis.
Yeah.
Robbie was telling me a little bit about a hostage situation that took place in Canada back in 2006.
Yeah. So, God, let's see. How would I even go in? There was a group I was playing with around that time, and we were opening up, I think, for Rob Thomas. Yeah, that's right. We're opening up for Rob Thomas, and you know, the sound guy, his name's Neil McDonald, great friend of mine, really amazing sound guy. He's actually works for the Rival Sons now. actually has been with them for, I think they're the inception of the Rival Sons, so for many, many years. And he would always say, "Oh, Canada, my hometown, it's amazing. People are so sweet. You'll love Canada. You'll love Canada." I'm like, all right, cool. And I think it was our first tour in Canada at that point. And so we stayed in this town of, what was it called? Moncton, Canada. And, you know, I had a room with the drummer, and then the bassist had a room with Neil, the front of house guy, and the singer was in another room. It was kind of like an L-shaped motel, right? And I mean, it was just and our bus was parked right in the middle, like L-shaped bus. And I remember waking up, and, you know, the drummer came in, comes in all, "Oh my God," and slams the door. He's like, "There are cops outside everywhere with guns." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I just went to go get a cup of coffee at the front office, and I had my headphones in, and I'm like grooving, and I see a guy with a gun at me, and he's saying, 'Get down.'" So apparently, what happened was this guy, his girlfriend worked at, "I'm never letting you go. You're mine." And he was there with a gun. And so they brought in a whole SWAT team, and they were using our bus as like a shield. And, you know, I mean, it was kind of wild. And I remember when Ronnie said, "There's a bunch of cops and blah, blah," the first thing that went in my mind was, "Oh God, I hope these guys flush everything down the toilet," and, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. And then next thing you know, I get a knock, and, you know, the bassist comes in, and Neil comes in, and, you know, they're both kind of like, "Why?" I'm like, "What's going on?" And they said, "All the cops are in our room, and they're using it as our office." And I'm going, "Did they find anything?" He goes, "No. Apparently one of the guys was trying to flush a bunch of stuff down the toilet, and he did it so quickly that he broke the handle on the toilet that it was all just floating right there on the floor." We're definitely, you know, not only is this bad, but that's bad too. But anyway, nothing happened, and, you know, nothing happened. So eventually they kept us there all day long. It made the news and whatnot. Nobody could leave anywhere. And by the time they let us go, we barely made the show. We left, and we played, we hung out, we eventually went back to the hotel to get our stuff. And it ends up that the guy had like a water pistol.
Seriously?
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like this massive hoorah, you know, and he just went mental, and he had a water pistol, and, yeah, he held everybody up there. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's insane, brother. You're lucky the cops didn't have to take a leak or something.
Well, they actually did. I think that was the whole point. Like, they're like, "We're going to use your room as an office." And they're like, 1 second, you know.
Right. And
We
you don't
have
want to get
plumbing
caught with
problems.
that in Canada. No.
What?
They
now?
they get a little rough with Canada if you get caught with anything there. I mean, you just don't want to be caught with any kind of paraphernalia, drug, anything, going out of the country at all, you know.
Right.
Yeah, they're fairly intolerant. The crossings crazy. They're very strict. Like, you know, it's probably more strict than England. You know, because England's really, really strict, and Canada is far more strict for sure. What is that? I mean, I remember going one time. They were like, "Do you have a criminal record?" And I'm like, "No." And I guess my name came up, and there was someone else with my name, but they didn't have the same middle name and same like I have. They're like, "Do you have a criminal record?" I'm like, "No." "So you weren't put in jail for beating your wife?" I'm like, "No, I'm not married." You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really wild. They just went through everything, and they held me there for about an hour, and I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, it's crazy. They'll do that. We were at the border there one time, and they were like, they looked up literally like, "Oh yeah, what's your band's name?" And they looked it up, and they went to the wrong page, and they go, "I don't see you on the page." I mean, right in front of me, looking up the page, I went, "Wait a minute, what? You're doing what?" "Oh, okay." It's like, "Oh, wrong band. Here, try this address." "Oh, there you are. Where's the other guy?" One of the other guys had just got fired, and I go, he just got fired last night. And he goes, oh, wow, ruthless business.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a lot of people tuning in right now. We're going to bring on our production assistant, Amanda, and she's got some questions for us here. Hang on just a moment,
All right.
guys. Let's see if we can get A-Dub into the feed here. Hey,
Hello.
A-Dub, I hear you've got some burning questions and comments for us. Got to turn your microphone on, hon.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Hey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
I have 3 questions for Luis.
All right.
Okay.
The first one is from Robert Lawless, and he got on a personal level and says, for all the ladies out there, he wants to know if it's boxers or briefs.
Robert.
What? Boxers or briefs?
That was his
Sweats.
question.
Sweats. All right. Fire number 2, A-Dub.
Teresa Dardano wants to know if y'all are planning to come back to Colorado soon. Said the tour she saw there was amazing.
We'd love to. I mean, I think that was the plan. That was the plan this summer. Obviously everybody's on hiatus, as far as tours go and shows. But yeah, I mean, that's the one thing with this band is we, the live, like doing the touring is what this band is. We're a working band. We love working and we love playing and love connecting with everybody. I mean, I don't think I've ever been part of an organization that had the coolest, kindest, sweetest, people to come out and support. They have a great fan base. I mean, it's wonderful. You see some people and you ended up going, hey, come have a beer with me. Hey, let's, it's super cool. So it keeps touring wonderful. Like you want to keep touring, you want to keep playing, you want to connect with these people. That was the plan. We'd love to. I mean, and I'm sure we'll be there again, without a doubt.
That's beautiful, man.
Sauce. Well, the last one I have for you comes from Texas. Brenda Preston says that she watched the performance of Papa Was a Rolling Stone at Darrell Hall's and that it was awesome. And she wants to know if it was all as smooth as it appeared to be.
Yes, they run a really great organization there. I mean, Shane Terry, the guitar player for Hall, is a friend of mine. And actually we became friends because we did a tour together, and the way they run things is pretty meticulous, and they just love, I mean, all those guys love music and it's not a job, you know what I mean? So they all love to play. They love the whole performance aspect of it. So it comes out in everything they do. Yeah, it was wonderful hanging out with those guys. I got incredibly close to Shane, and I mean, I think he paid a visit to me here in what was it, in January. He came by with his wife, man, and when we talk, it's about music, it's about life, and it's about music and life, and music, so it's pretty cool to be around that atmosphere,
I'll bet.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, A-Dub. We'll bring you back here in a few. Thanks much.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the band, live, you definitely want to go see Train. It's a great show. And the last time I saw you guys, they let Luis sing a song, and that boy can sing. And, we were just like, wow, holy cow. And then on top of that, when we were here, we were working with Dado, because people know Dado. He was on the pilot episode we did here. Some people know. Yeah. And we worked with Dado in here, and we're working on a song, and Luis is singing, and you had a totally different facet to your voice that day. You were singing, and I'm like, damn, man, he can sing. Plays guitar, amazing, sings amazing, incredible writer. Just amazing.
So I saw a guitar a little while ago, Luis. Is that still around you there?
Yeah, there's a handful of ones just all kind of messed up around here. They're all just kind of lying around, and just in case there's, let's see, let me, I don't see me. There's stuff like that.
Can try and put him on the spot.
Hey,
you dirty dog.
I think there's another one. This is a weird one. This is navigate, and I'm like gonna make it past it. I mean, it's all piled up over here, literally.
Wow.
They're all kind of piled up just because we've been doing these, you know, like some other groups that are doing them right now, these quarantine videos where like the bands are all doing it remotely and everybody's doing it from their own studio. So, you know, at the ready, everything, oh, we'll do acoustic, oh, electric, oh, I'm going to play slide on this. You know, so I have everything just kind of, I cleaned up a little bit, but like it was just kind of nuts. You know,
big shout out.
What's
big
that?
Shout out, big shout out to Casey Kelly. Says he's a huge fan, loves your music, and thanks Casey for stopping in and visiting with us, brother.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Robbie.
What?
Robbie.
Yes.
So I just saw you do the whole "we're not worthy" thing here, man. And you and I were talking earlier about the energy that you see Luis put off in his performances and on stage and stuff like that, and how contagious that is. Luis, do you really, does the crowd really feed into your energy level? I mean, let's talk a little bit about your interaction that way.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, it's kind of a, like I said, band like this, because they're so engaged, you know, with the people that come. It definitely affects it. Here's an example. I was on tour with Glenn Hughes in Russia, right? And that's interesting in itself. And in Russia, they didn't outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg, we did all these crazy shows like in New Siberia and Vladivostok and all these wild cities that I'll probably never ever go there again. But in some of these theaters, they wouldn't allow them to stand up. So most of the people were just sitting down watching it. And there was one guy, I remember, he in the front row, he got up, he's like, yeah, I love this. And cops literally dragged him out. So most people were just sitting there still. And playing to that was interesting. So it was kind of like, almost like spectator sport. And it felt weird. And you know, you do a good job, but I got to tell you, when we got to Moscow and people were like, what? It just turns on all these different facets of your performance and your psychology. So absolutely 100%. And usually when we're out on tour with this group specifically, I mean, people are just ready. You see them before the show goes on and they're hanging out. They are just ready to let go and be vulnerable to the whole night and have a great time. And it's really wonderful. And that makes it amazing because you feel like you're all sharing it. I've had a couple of friends, and Robbie, you can tell me if this is true. I've had a couple of friends, and most of them said the same thing. They're like, you know, when we come out to one of your shows, we have no idea what's going to happen. But it feels like this great party that everybody is included. Everybody feels like they're included, and everybody feels like I'm in the right place at the right time. And I'm like, that's great. And a lot of my friends have said that when they've come to see the show. And I got to give it to Pat. He's a great performer. He knows how to engage with the crowd, but he does it in a way where, you know, I mean, obviously we're all part of it together, but that they really feel like they're part of it. They are. I mean, it affects us. I mean, he, like, you know, Robbie told you that I sing. He allows me to sing a song. He allows my brother to sing a song. He features the girls, you know, our backup singers, Nikita and Sakai, you know, on something. He's very inclusive and very generous with the stage time. And that's not common. That's not common. You'll some artists and they're like, all right, make sure you don't get out of that section. And I'm like, great, no problem, you know. But, you know, Pat's a fairly generous of the stage, and it's really cool, you know.
He is inclusive with everybody. You could see it with the band and the audience. He does a thing and in the shows where he'll take a shirt and he'll wear it, and then he'll sign it, and then he has everybody in the band sign it, and then he throws it out to the crowd. And so he includes the crowd. He's very inclusive. There's no question. And one thing I noticed about the shows is there is a wide variety of people. I mean, all age groups. I'm looking around and everybody's having a great time, and everything from young kids to, you know, older adults. I mean, every spectrum. I go, wow, this is really.
That's right.
Yeah, training.
That's right. Right. That's the interesting thing about it. It's not. It's for everybody. And that's the cool thing about it. I feel, you know, pretty fortunate to be part of it, just because you get to meet great people, and the people that you're playing for, like Robbie said, it's a wide variety of people from all walks of life. Yeah. And I mean, gosh, there was a guy right in the front row with long hair and a beard and a Cannibal Corpse shirt, and I was just going, wow, this is so cool. All right, right on. I love that. You know, I have a particular soft spot in my heart for, like, you know, the hardcore metal dudes. You know.
So, yeah. You were talking about Germany and John Waite earlier. Did I hear a rumor that your appendix burst on stage in Germany?
That was wild. Well, yeah, there's a fairly involved story that goes to it, but I'll give you kind of what happened. So I had been getting sick months to that, and I didn't know what it was, and I was like, oh, I got food poisoning, right? And then it happened again. I was like, God, food poisoning again. And then, like, you know, several months later, we went on tour, and we were doing Europe. So we were doing, like, you know, Holland, Germany, Spain, but just a bunch of places, England. And I remember I was like, I wasn't feeling good that day, and I was like, oh man, I got food poisoning again. But it was basically my body telling me that something was wrong, and it ended up being my appendix. I didn't know that then. I just thought I was getting food poisoning, and I just felt like shit at sound check. Sorry, I can say shit, right?
Okay.
So I remember feeling like shit, and they're like, whoa, man, you don't look good. I'm like, I don't know, I think there's something that we all ate, and everybody was fine except me. And so the night of the show, you know, we're all backstage, and it was like this, what was it? The town was called Lorsch, Germany.
Lorsch.
And we were playing a theater there, and I remember John coming up to me. He's like, hey, son, you don't look good at all. You gonna be okay? I'm like, I'm gonna be fine, you know. But I felt completely horrible, and I was like, you know, clammy and cold and hot at the same time. I was like, Jesus, what's going on? And I basically played the show all the way, and I just kept telling myself, just hang in there. You're going to get back to the hotel. You can puke your guts out if you need to. And I just, it was weird. I was playing the show, but I wasn't there because I kept, like, I was in another state going, you know, willing myself, like, hang in there. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You know, you just get through this, you know, 78-minute, 80-minute set. You're just going to get through it. And then the last song came, and we did some encore, and got halfway through this. No, I got about 3/4 way through the song, and I looked over at the bassist, and I started seeing spots, like black and white, not white, black spots like this. It was really just fucking crazy. And I remember, like, just this overwhelming feeling of just shitty, right? And I looked over, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, and I don't remember anything after that. All I remembered was waking up backstage, and I was like, oh my God. And I looked over, and I just, apparently I passed out right on stage. I went down backwards, right? So I went backwards, and the amps fell on top of me, and my guitar, like, fell forward, and the bassist literally physically carried me off stage, you know, to the dressing room. And then the paramedics came, and they're like, you know, they were speaking Deutsch, and I didn't understand. And the tour manager, the German tour manager, was like, he's like, we got to take you to the hospital right now. And I'm like, no, we don't need to do that. Just take me to I was being really stubborn. I was like, take me to my hotel room. I'm just going to puke my guts out, and then I'll deal with it. You know, I'll be fine. I'll recover. And they're like, no, we got to go now. And I'm like, no. And then he said, your appendix is probably burst. You got to go to the hospital and at least see if that is true. And I'm like, okay. So they pulled me out in a stretcher, they put me in, you know, their ambulances. And it was so, at the time I was like, God, this is embarrassing. Like, you know, fuck it.
Right.
It was horrible. I'm out in the stretcher and they're passing all the people that went through the show. And I was like, this sucks. And I was just worried about, oh God, you know, this sucks. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be looked at. And then they took me to the emergency room, and there was a guy, and I mean, had the little round glasses and the lab coat, and he was, you know, talking really loud, yelling at the tour manager, and he's like, oh, saying all this stuff. And the tour manager goes, they must operate now. You're going through sepsis. Is that it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You're going through sepsis, and they need to operate and deal with that to make sure that, you know, your body doesn't go sepsis and your organs start shutting down. I'm like, dude, he's bullshitting you. I just have food poisoning. And for some reason, I just kept thinking, just get me back to my hotel room and I'll be fine. I didn't want to go through the whole thing. And then you started seeing them argue. And then the doctor just threw his hands up in the air and he just started yelling, and he goes, and then he just walked out for a second. And then the tour manager comes back to me and he says, okay, great. He said he'll let you go. But the only condition is that you sign a waiver saying he's not responsible for your death. And then at that point, I was like, let's do it. And literally, like maybe 3 hours later or 4 hours later, they took out my appendix. And the weirdest thing about it is that I wake up and there was this woman. She's a big German woman. She literally picked me up out of bed and she goes, you have to go pee now. I was like, I was so incoherent because they gave me like an anesthetic and they put me out, and then I went to the bathroom, and then she pulled me back and she goes, and she pulls out a DVD and she goes, here's your operation, have a good day. And I was like lying there for a while.
Wow. Just do a shout out to Teresa Dardano, and then, you know, maybe did anybody put an email in the comments? Bring somebody in. But before we do, there is a question for you, Luis. Put that up. I think it's Casey Kelly. Turn it so I can read it. Wants to know, Luis, what one piece of advice you have to give for an artist trying to break into the game?
Oof, man, there's not one piece. That's the hard part. There's several pieces, because, man, this could be a whole other session. I mean, you're going to hear stuff like persevere, have a good attitude, you know, work on your craft, you know, work on your character. You're going to hear a bunch of stuff, and it's all true. Man, I think honestly, if I had to say something, if you believe in your heart of hearts and in your spirit and your psychology that you must do this, you know, because we all have a choice, and some things you're picked for and some things you decide that you want to do. But if you feel that this life, this career, this profession is what you must do, and you will have your reasons, then really it's about perseverance. It's about adaptability. So persevere, be a learning person. Like, don't know everything ever. Things change at an enormous rate, and information changes, technology changes, especially with our industry has changed mediums so many times, and the way you do things. I mean, now we have like this, Facebook, Zoom, on and so on. It all changes so much, and you got to have a good attitude about it. Because I'm not saying that you have to be fake about stuff. Like, I remember when MP3s, right? Like late 90s, in the midnight. Was it mid 90s? I don't remember. But when MP3s first came out, I remember a bunch of my peers at that time were like, fuck that, you know, oh, this is horrible. They suck. They sound horrible. But here we are. We're streaming, you know, not even just MP3s, but we're streaming music, and music's still alive. You know, people still have careers. Always the sky is falling element that people will try to tell you. You know, you'll hear all the notes about that. But it really doesn't matter as long as you have great content, you know, quality content, and that you keep persevering, you keep having an adaptable, you know, mindset, learning what the new technology or learning how to go about new ways. I mean, it's always changing, so you gotta be able to flow with however it changes. You know, I hope that helps. I mean, it's kind of a wordful, but like, there's a lot to it. You know, I don't think there's one thing.
You know, I've
That's
been
pretty good advice. I think the main thing is if you are really, you're supposed to do it and you persevere, you'll do it in one way or another. But that's pretty good advice, pretty involved and pretty good.
Look, at the end of the day, if you want something bad enough and really bad, like deep, like passionately, if you want something bad enough, the whole world can't stop you. So just go, you know, persevere and get better and learn as much as you can, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Luis, I would hate myself if we didn't talk about your time with Lisa Marie Presley.
There you go.
I would hate myself. You got a connection.
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, he's thinking that's about as close to the king as you can get.
That's it,
You
baby.
know?
I, hands down, it was pretty awesome. Wonderful. She's super cool. You know, her family treated me and on a pretty wonderful people. They were really cool, very respectful, very kind. There were never any weird games, no insecure, you know, power plays. Just, she was super cool. Probably one of the kindest human beings I've ever worked for, to be honest.
Really?
My time with her was really cool. And how I got involved with her was, you know, my best friend Damon Fox, who he'd been playing with her already for a number of years. And I joined Big Elf, and, you know, Damon is like the leader of Big Elf. And I joined Big Elf. I was doing the last record, and I remember he came over to the house and we were hanging out, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you know, Lisa's lost the bass player and we need a bassist, and, you know, Michael wants an upright bassist." And I'm like, cool, that's right. And it really wasn't me who came up, like my wife Anna, who's a cellist. She goes, "Well, Luis plays upright bass." And I didn't even think about it at that time, because I was just, you know, I was constantly, you know, playing guitar. And I grew up in the orchestra. I used to compete classically in upright bass, and so a lot of upright bass here. But, you know, most of my career, professional musician through, you know, with guitar. And, you know, Damon looked at me and he goes, "You very deeply," and I still play, and that's, you know, I taught Michael, and, you know, it all kind of just came very quickly, and it was fun, man. I had a great time. We went, you know, it was really, really cool. Great time with her.
Oh, I'm going to say Debbie Smith says. Well, I was going to tell you real quick. Debbie Smith says to say hi to you. She said she saw you a lot with John Waite. Just relaying the message from her.
Right.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Continue the story. But you know what? I'm just going to tell you straight out. Your audio is a little weird. I don't know if it keeps breaking up. Maybe there's something like you could turn your Wi-Fi off or something. Would that help on the phone if the Wi-Fi was off? Because it was really good when we tested. What's that?
Yeah, you're freezing.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
It is?
That's better, isn't it? That's better.
That's better.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss out on any valuable advice that you're handing over. Pearls of wisdom.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to be as adaptable as I can with technology. And sometimes I just say, throw it in the trash. Anyway. What let's see. Did you say something about John Wayne?
Yeah, Debbie Smith.
No. What am I talking about? I was talking about playing. It was like this. That was amazing. So forget venues, like that was wild, because I think that was the first time. There's a room called the Jump Room, and the last time that any music was played in there was with Elvis and his band, and I think that was, obviously in the 70s. Yeah. And so when we did it for a very specific, I don't know what it was, but it was a specific thing. Taping it and filming. It was the first time that any music or any music stepped in that. So that was really special. That was really cool. I mean, we got to see all this great stuff when we were in Graceland, and it's different. Like, when you go and see something and you're kind of a spectator, but then it's different when you're inside of it. And so it was way deeper and it meant something more. I mean, wow, I just, Priscilla Presley just handed me a glass of water to hand over to, you know what I mean? It was like, it was so wild. And at the time it felt very natural because I didn't have any, I've never starstruck or disabled by artists or big people. I just never had that. I just figured we're all kind or we're not, whatever. But this was particularly interesting because they made it so easy to be around them because they were really kind people. And I was just, God, this is so cool. I could do this forever. And, obviously, the time that came to an end, that was cool. I loved it. I loved every second of it. That was awesome. I had a great time with her. Really. Yeah, cool.
I'm so incredibly happy to hear that that's how it was, man, because I got into radio just because of Dewey Phillips and Elvis and all this, and wanted to be part of the industry. And part of that, of course, he's an icon, and he's definitely one of the people that I've looked up to throughout music. And so to hear that their family was like that with you, man, makes me feel good. Makes my heart feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it made me feel good. I don't know. Like I said, my time with her was really wonderful. I have nothing but fantastic, great sentimental memories of the whole thing. I wished it had gone longer, but everything comes to an end at some point. But it was really cool. Loved it. Loved every second. Great highlight of my life for sure. Yeah.
I think we should address the UFO thing. I mean, especially for me and a lot of people growing up. I mean, I used to play, literally songs off of every UFO album growing up. Right.
Yeah.
And then you ended up playing with UFO. Barry Sparks played with UFO.
Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's your experience.
I met Barry on the tour that I did. He was playing with Uli Ra.
Oh, okay. Okay.
History with
Wait a minute, your audio is really cutting out. Maybe you should go back to Wi-Fi.
Maybe. Well, no, I am actually. One second. Let me try one more thing.
All right.
How's that? Does that work?
I think so. Let's try. So you were
Looks
saying
a little better.
You met him when he was playing with Uli.
Right. Well,
you were with UFO when he was with Uli. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, I think it was 97. 97. I remember. Well, my whole.
All right.
Yeah, but 97. I remember playing guitar on Michael's Unforgiven record, and how I got involved with that, I was good friends with this guy named Mike Varney who owned Shrapnel Records. And Robbie, Shrapnel Records is that's the record label that spawned Dean, Gilbert, Marty Friedman,
Paul Gilbert,
all guitar, Tony McAlpine, a lot of great guitars were signed to Shrapnel Records. Now, my history with Shrapnel is, I had met Mike, and fairly quickly we became friends, and he you know, I started working, doing sessions for the label, whether it was doing rhythm guitar tracks for a record or doing backup vocals with, you know, certain people or just whatever. You know, I was an auxiliary musician. So I was brought in every now and then to this was records. Record for Shrapnel Records. And my friend Kelly Keeling at the time was singing on it. And, you know, and I came in, I did some rhythm guitar on a handful of tracks. And very quickly after that, like months, Phil Mogg and Pete Way had this band called Mogg Way. And I went in and did sessions for them. And, you know, Jeff, I don't know if you know Jeff Coleman. He's a guitar, he played guitar on those records. Jeff's a great player too. He's also, you know, wonderful dude. Anyway, so between doing these records and then, you know, Michael did another one and then Mogwai did another one and I became friendly with Phil. And I remember meeting Michael the first time on that record. Like I was listening to some of the tracks with the engineer, this guy, Ralph Patman. And we were listening to it and he was telling me, look, man, I'm getting his 70s tone with the plate reverb and blah, blah, blah. And I turn around and Michael's face is right here. And he's like, literally like that close to my face. He's like, hello, who are you? What's your purpose here? Right? It was so wild. I didn't even know what to make of that. Like, what is your purpose here? And I was like, my friend Ralph, who's the engineer for that record, he goes, oh, this is Luis. You know, he's working on the record. He's doing some of the rhythm tracks, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, hello, my name is Michael. Nice to meet you. And he was super sweet after that. It was the funniest thing. So, you know, when I was doing those records, again, I was just an auxiliary guy. I was just coming in as a session dude. Somehow my name came up. Phil liked me. I know Michael liked me. And they were doing, okay, so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. They finally reunited to do a UFO record, and it was in 2000 or something like that. And same thing, I came in as auxiliary. I saw Michael. Hello, Michael. I saw Phil. Hey, Phil. You know. And they were getting ready to tour the record. Paul Raymond, for whatever reason, didn't do the tour or couldn't do the tour. I don't know if he was hung up with another artist or whatever. But then my name kept coming up by both Michael and Phil. Said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do the tour. I'll play keyboards and guitar. And yeah, that's how I got involved. So I did that one tour and that was it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, it was cool. And then, you know, I met Barry on that tour. I got to see, I met Glenn. So I met Glenn Hughes on that tour. He was opening up the European dates. Oh. And I met Uli on that tour. He was opening up the English dates. And I met a lot of great friends on that tour. That was like my first, the UFO thing was my first like international, you know, and then also like, because, you know, I grew up with it too, man. I was super into like MSG and then when Hughes is like my favorite singer, right? Always has been. I love trapeze, love like, you know, the Mark III Deep Purple stuff. So when I heard, oh, cool, they're going to do the tour. It's going to be Glenn Hughes and Uli Rod. And I was like, fuck, man. Yeah, I'll do it. And it was awesome. It was, I mean, it definitely came with a lot of interesting things. I watched a lot of their psychologies go to work and I was like, whoa. But it was cool, man. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a question for Robert Lawless wondering what age he's asking both of us, what age we knew when you knew this is what you were going to do. I don't know for you when you knew.
I knew pretty early. I think not long after my father got me an electric guitar and a little harmony amp. Not long after that, I knew like, okay, yeah, I'll be this the rest of my life. I mean, it was pretty, and I think I was 7 or 8. I mean, so I kind of knew. I know that's hard to process maybe. I don't know, but I knew that I knew that I knew. And so I kind of just gave myself to it. So I gave myself to studying. I gave myself to the orchestra. I gave myself to every part of of what you can do with music, right? Like, how do I play this? How do you make this sound? How do you record it? You know, so I just gave myself completely from the time I was a kid up until the time I started going to college. I just, you know, I wanted to be in it. I wanted to be completely enveloped by it. Whether it was sound or it wasn't even about the industry. It wasn't even about, you know, being a working session guy or a side guy or joining a band. It was just, it really was purely based on, I love music. I love how you can manipulate it and make sounds and what it did to me, like how I felt when I listened or played music and learning it. And so it really was about that. And still here, you know. So
I think we're losing Luis there.
We might have lost him.
I think we might have lost him.
Well, he's waiting there. I can answer. For me, it was a little later than that. It was probably freshman in high school when I just knew that, hey, I just knew that this is what I was going to do. It kind of happened overnight, really, where all of a sudden I went, oh, this is it.
Really?
Yeah. It was a specific experience. I'll get into another time, but that actually changed my trajectory in life.
Really?
Yeah.
Coming up in the future episodes, is that what we're doing there?
Oh, you know, I could tell you now, it's not even that big of a deal, but it was just something that had happened to me that made a profound effect. And it's not watching a band. It was with somebody in town. I mean, the story, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I won't name names, but I went to a party and this kid was playing and I'd seen him play and he's like a year younger than me. And I saw him a year before and I thought, man, this kid's pretty good, you know? And then a year later, I saw him playing at a party and I was like a freshman in high school and he's in 8th grade and I'm watching him play. And then my friends were playing. They go, hey, play. And I got up and I jammed and me and him were jamming with his drummer. Then he broke a string and at least he had the graciousness to sit down and wait to the end of the song. But as soon as the song was over, his exact words were to me, since I'm so much better than you are, why don't you sit down and watch me play? And I went, okay. And then after that, I went home and that was it. It changed my life. I went back and I started playing. I didn't put down a guitar. You know, I was like, that motherfucker, I'm going to show him up.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's funny in retrospect because, I mean, he ended up, I mean, whatever. But he just, even a year later, I had already passed him up. So it's kind of like, whatever. But I mean, it changed where I was going in life because of that actual thing happening.
Wow. Dude, that's driving force right there, man. That's fuel for the force, you know what I mean? It looks like Luis lost his connection.
Going to a Kiss concert or anything, but yeah, unfortunately, Luis's audio was a little bit jerky through most of that, which is a bummer because there was a lot of really good stuff he was saying. I could make out where he was going, but I'm kind of rough when it's like that. So
I would love to invite him back, maybe when we get some better connection with him and bring him back on, because I think a lot of people didn't get to hear a lot of what was being said. And knowing where he was going, it made it easier for you and I. But I'd love to have him back on. What about you?
Absolutely.
He's a good guy, man. He's a good dude. I really kind of connected with him. It was easy to talk with.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about next week. Hopefully we can get Carmine to get some really good connection where he's at. We got Carmine Peace joining us from Ozzy and Rod Stewart and the list is outrageous of the people he's played with.
He's been around, so we hopefully can get some really good stories at him from the early days of rock. That's what I really want to try and squeeze out of him, stuff from like the, you know, when he came up was probably mid-60s or something.
Right.
Somewhere really early. He would have been pretty young, but he was already playing on the national level really young. So it'd be really cool to hear. I mean, there'd be just, can you imagine? I mean, the stories he would have.
Between him and his brother, dude, I mean, there's so many great anthems and so many beats that all of us know. So Carmine Peace is going to be fantastic. Kevin Martin and Adam Curry coming in from Candlebox the following week is just going to be fantastic. I did a show with Candlebox and Fuel up in Nebraska. And man, that really was a great show, and very proud of that show. So, and then the week after that, we got Morgan Miles. Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie, where
What?
you going, baby?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Put the phone down, brother.
Well, Luis was getting a hold of me because he fell out of the conversation. So I'll just let him know, don't worry about it, but we'll close it out here.
Right. Tell him we're going to have him back, though, man, for sure.
Yeah, we will.
All right. So it's the hangout. We got to add some extra things in tonight. We got to check out a little music video and some audio, and then we got to add in some production assistants and stuff. So we're just going to keep perfecting this. Obviously, Zoom is the platform we're on. We're bringing it in through Facebook, and there's a whole lot of technical buttons and lights and things that you got to push to make things work.
We just got to get the connection with the artist better, right? That's the
Right.
trick, is making that clear. It's, so
Yeah, I think we're coming in great, but I think we really need to kind of push on that issue as well. So I'm wrapped. How are you?
I think it's good. I think we look forward to next week, and let's, keep stepping the game up.
That's it. All right. We love you all for joining us. You're all part of our family. I appreciate you. And I know Robbie does as well. Go over to YouTube, Robbie Lochner's channel, subscribe to it. This guy's phenomenal. He's one of my best friends, and I can't say enough good things about him. So check him out. And then Wednesday, he's dropping the new video. He's dropping get my money on the side.
Right.
He's dropping that new video and the new song, man. You guys got to check it out. 4:00. He's going to premiere it live on his YouTube channel, right, Robbie?
4:00 Pacific Standard Time, and anybody who was on early enough got to actually see it as the bumper on here, but it will be premiered on my channel. It's a song that's been sitting around actually for quite a while, and I'm finally releasing it now, just with the urgency or people telling me, you know what, put that thing out. It seems to work well for what we're doing. So,
right. It's going to be great, man. So check it out. That's Robbie Lochner on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Go to 103.5 Jack FM. Like the Facebook page. Share the Facebook page. Get your friends to come hang out, because the more views we get, the more places we can go with this show. And we're just going to keep on rocking and rolling with it, right?
I think we're looking for Sirius FM. Like, that was one of the questions that was asked. Was it Sirius? Is that what he's asking? Somebody was asking, when you guys taking this to Sirius or one of those places? I go, that's why I said soon.
Sirius, Access TV, we're game, baby. Let's make this happen. So
yeah, we got to get, so it's a smoother transition as far as, the connection. That connection can be tough. That was tough.
Yeah, that was tough, because that was an awesome sit down.
Really good stuff. And
a great guy. So, all right, let's wrap it up. We'll see you guys next week. That's Monday nights. It's the Hangout right here on 103.5 Jack FM's Facebook page. We're out. Love you.